Hello guys, in this video I want to help you to make the right decision when you're choosing a new language to learn. You probably already speak at least one, maybe two, maybe even more languages, and you're thinking about which new language you want to learn. Okay, I have 4 questions which you could ask to yourself to decide which language will be the best for you to learn. Those 4 questions are really important to answer, in my opinion. I always use those 4 questions before I'm starting. I think it's really important because motivation is the most important thing of learning a language. Because what I hear from many people is that I learned a language for maybe 1 week, 2 weeks, or maybe a month or longer. And after that they're not using it anymore. And I think it's important to learn a language for a longer time. And after that you should use it again. So I made 4 questions. And the first question which you should ask yourself to decide if this language is good or not is, why are you learning the language? So yeah, what's the goal? What do you want to reach? And yeah, maybe some people are learning a language for their job because they need it. If that's your goal, I think that's not enough, because I think you also should yeah, hug the language. You should love it. And you never know if you have the job for a long time or not. So it's really important that you, even without the job, can use the language for yourself. So yeah, you should really think about those goals. Some other people are learning a language because they think it's funny, or it's maybe a really special language. Let's give an example. For example, Icelandic. Icelandic is a really rare language, and some people are just learning it because it's so special if they are speaking it. And I think if that's your reason, that's not enough. You should also think about how can I maintain it? How can I speak it often? So then again, I think it's really important to have a second reason to learn the language. Though that could be any reason, and then again you can yeah, learn the language with other people and speak it more frequently. So yeah, that's the first question which you should ask yourself. The second question which I always ask to myself is, how often can I use the language? So I gave the example of Icelandic. Icelandic is not a really popular language, so if you're learning, for example, Icelandic, then it's really important to know how you can practice it with people. So maybe you have a friend, or maybe you know some people, maybe you need some connections. I think it's really important to have a plan so that you're not learning the language and that you will forget it after a while. So that's the second thing where you should think about. And yeah, I think languages like Mandarin, Portuguese, Spanish, French are really popular language. So some of you maybe are choosing a language which is popular or frequently spoken. So that could be a reason to speak it, because you have more opportunities to practice it. And maybe it's also more useful. On the other hand, I think it's also cool to learn a language which is different and which other people don't speak. So it's more special if you're learning it. But then again, you should think about yeah, other goals, like, why do I like the language? Why is it so special for me? So try to answer those questions. Why is this language so special for me? And why do I want to learn it? And you should always think about it, otherwise you will lose your motivation. Alright, yeah, the third question which I ask myself is, do I love the language? And how much do I love the language? I already talked about it before. I think you should, yeah, like, how do you say it? Sometimes when you learn a language, it really sounds like it's music, like it's really maybe romantic, or, you know, there are languages which, yeah, how do you say it? They give you a kind of feeling. I hear from many people that Italian is a romantic language, and some people really like tonal languages like Mandarin, because it really sounds like music, or maybe Thai. And if you think it really sounds like music, or if it's really beautiful, then I think you also really want to hear it again and again and again. And I think that's really important. That's the clue. If you really want to learn a language over and over again, in movies, or maybe music, or maybe on YouTube, then you have a really passive way of learning a language. So you're not forcing yourself to sit behind your computer or to open a book to learn it. You're not pushing yourself. And then it's going really well if you're just automatically learning a language because you just like it. So if that's the way how you're thinking about the language which you are learning now, then you're on the right path. If not, if you need to push yourself every day to do your homework, then you should ask yourself again, like, do I really want it, or is there maybe another language which I like? So that's question number 3. The last question is also an important one. If you are afraid to mix it up with another language. So, for example, if you're learning Spanish and you want to learn Portuguese, but your Spanish is not on a high level, it's maybe A2 or maybe almost B1, then I really recommend you not to learn Portuguese or any other Roman language. I recommend you to learn the other language first until it's on a higher level, and then maybe you feel more comfortable and you really know, like I said, you're not really thinking about what you're saying in the language, it's just going automatically, and then it's maybe the right time to learn another language which is of the same family. So in my opinion, that's important to choose to not mix up languages. And for example, if you're learning Spanish, then maybe it's better to learn whatever, Chinese, or maybe German, something like that. So I recommend you not to learn languages at the same time from the same language group. So yeah, this was my advice, and if you have any other advice, you are free to post it below in the comments, because I always like it to hear other stories about it, about your language adventure. And that's where my channel is for. So